So we made it to the zoo today, and the first thing I've noticed is this little Hollywood Walk of Fame thing down here for the animals. Each one has a footprint, a species name, and an individual animal on it, which I think is really cool. We've got a large gibbon here called Reza 3. And they go all the way up there. So I'm in. Got my ticket with a little red panda on it. I don't know where I'm starting. Wait, have a look at the map actually. I've got a map on my phone as well, just in case. So we're starting here. Actually, I've already noticed, very near the start is lemurs. So I might head up there first. So two things I've noticed already. All the signs are in English and Czech, all the information. And the other thing I've noticed is they also list plants that are found in the enclosures. I don't think I've seen it at a zoo before. I've only seen 2 of the parrots so far. But yeah, nice bit of information about it, which is really nice. The rare parrot building after 2 enclosures has become a walkthrough. I love it. That was a lovely little walkthrough where it's a little bit that goes up to a height where they're flying around and all the ducks in the trees and the parrots flying. Oh. These are hyacinth macaws. That little fella down there is a scarlet-headed blackbird. I've not heard of those before. They look prettier than the ones we get in Europe. And they is macaw, which look just the same as the hyacinth macaw but slightly less yellow, I think. And they're cute grooming each other. Apparently there's artificial rain in this aviary at points, so I might get wet. There's a little warning when you enter. They're guarding the exit. Another thing is that this zoo allows dogs, and they've got little fountains with bowls, so you can get your dog some water. So I clearly took the wrong path for getting to the lemurs, because that's the kangaroos down there, and that's the enclosure that comes after the lemurs. From the circle background do kangaroos next, although there is a very large bird of prey walk through it, looks to it. So, I don't know, I'm gonna get distracted. So it's not a proper walkthrough, it's a little area you can walk in and get a good viewing with the enclosure, and there's vultures in here, but currently I don't see any. This might be a place to come back later. Oh, hang on, that's not a vulture, it's a buzzard or something up there. Or is it a vulture? Far away. Let me zoom in. What are you? I don't know. I'll have to go find a sign. Oh, I can see vultures up there. If we're back in this area later, we might pop back in and see if they've come down. The Darwin crater has these bits about extinct animals outside. We've got the Tasmanian tiger and a whole range of species on that one. So the Darwin crater is an actual place in Tanzania, possibly caused by an ancient meteorite strike. And so everything found in this little section lives within that zone. For the Tasmanian devils, they got little plaques telling you all their names, you can identify them. That's so cute. A wallaby walkthrough that is unique because it has kangaroos. I've never seen one of these before. My little friend back there. Oh, he doesn't want to be my friend, he's going away. I found the lemur's outside area. I see that little glass building there. Some lemur tails. So I'm assuming that's the walkthrough bit around there. My little lemur friends are being fed inside, which is why they're not out. Maybe later I'll be lucky. Oh, she's put some food there. Am I gonna get a good view? There you are. Hey buddy. Nice bit of scatter feeding going on. This little sculpture here is to do when red ants steal the eggs of black ants and then raise those ants as effectively slaves for the red ant colony. There's even a giant match in it. The North American porcupine has climbed the tree to have a view over Prague. Look how high he's come. Just crossing a bridge across the road to get to the other side of the zoo to see the giraffes, and they've got a little bit of an archaeological dig that was done here. And history that's found on site. This is a beautiful African paddock. Notice that stretches back. We've got some zebras down there. And there'll be giraffes about somewhere. There's a giraffe below me. A bit of feeding enrichment for the giraffes being set up. That's just the tongues to get down, I'm assuming. The elephant house is a section on the history of controlling elephants and some horrific equipment that was used to keep them under control. These are better. These are for actually looking after elephants, make sure their feet are all okay. And this over here is just for transport or for medical procedures, so nothing horrific. And then touch training. With a clicker and everything. This is something I don't agree with as much. A simulator for riding on the back of an elephant. I'm always encouraging this activity in Asia, which is something I feel strongly against them doing. A little fake Indian village, showing how elephants are used in the local populations to help build and transport things. There's an info board saying how elephants are really important in India, culturally and spiritually, and how there's a lot of statues of them due to that spirituality. The statues here were imported from India for that reason. They're authentic Indian elephant statues. A nice sign here, just to do with the trouble elephants are currently undergoing in these parts of the world in Asia. Every fifth elephant gets stuck in a snare in Sri Lanka. Although they don't always die, they do tend to be left with a lifelong disability, which is really sad, and it highlights really the problem that's still faced out there and how we need to make a big step both in education of our people, their people, just globally, and actually make changes so that these elephants have much better lives out there in the wild. So this crate here was actually used to transport an elephant from Sri Lanka to Prague Zoo. And the place is about taking elephants in the wild when they become a problem for the locals and moving them either to nature reserves or to zoos. And obviously this one was moved to Prague. And this crate weighs 1.5 tons. Oh, it's so cute. We're just stopping for lunch with some benches that have a lovely view. I've been advised by Milo, who's a local, that a fried cheeseburger is a very local food, so I've gone for that. I find fried cheese is huge here. I love cheese.
Are you?
So I'm going to try and get on this chairlift later, because we didn't go see, I think there's an insect house up there and tigers, but we've gone past those and come down now. So there are lots of little routes, so we're going back to the top later. Another bird walkthrough with pelicans guarding the entrance. This is an entrance to an old mine. They also got used as an air raid shelter during the war. They've opened the front of it up just so you can have a quick look in. It apparently goes 80 metres back into the cavern. There you go. A bit of local history on the site there. So we're now in the feline and reptile house, which I thought was a little bit of a weird combination, but it's really nice in here. We've got mainly the felines on the outside, and there's a big bit in the middle. The reptiles, we've seen iguanas, snakes in there. It's divided into little sections in places. So there's a section over here of terrapins, and also a very big spider. I don't know if he's just like a wild spider that's made his way in there. He's quite big. This is really cool. It's a thermal imaging camera pointed at us. So you can see what it's like with how snakes see. Look at your glasses.
I already took them off.
Wow. That's really cool. I completely missed this mob of snake going under the benches on the way in. There's the anaconda. And you can just see his nose sticking out of the water at the back. So there's a ray. Yeah. This is the giant salamander house, and it's really well ambiently lit. I've never seen a giant salamander, so I'm happy to see that here. I'm lucky. In 2002 the zoo flooded, and the water reached as high as the top flag on there. In 2013 it flooded again, reaching as high as the lower flag on there. That's a lot of water. Found more lemurs. We have yet another walk through aviary. There's another lemur section, this little island area walking around, but they don't appear to be out. So I'm now at the Indonesia jungle, which was the big draw for coming here today. It looks, from the photographs I've seen on the website, amazing. Orangutans and everything in there. So I'm hoping it lives up to the expectation I've built for it in my head. It's not quite what I expected. I expected one big biodome. There's two floors. There's a nocturnal section. There's obviously the more dangerous animals are sealed off from each other so they can't play each other with the public. Like it's orangutans over there, because obviously they're going to have their own section. But I didn't expect the 2 floors, or the nocturnal section. I don't know how much further it goes around there, but it's quite large. I'm really enjoying it, it's nice. And there's a baby orangutan, which is really sweet. I'm now doing the rest of the zoo by myself. Paul and Janet have gone back to the apartment. This place is actually open 9 till 9 at this time of the year. 12 hours of zoo. And I'll see when it opened. I don't know if I'm going to be able to let it close at this point, because I think I've seen most of it, like 90%. But there's a little African insect house here. And there's some other tigers I didn't see that were in a different enclosure at the top of the zoo. I think there's gibbons down the bottom that we walked past. Yeah, and there's some things that weren't out, but with the weather has now changed a bit. So that we're not going to be seen at all, because then we're going to be hiding away. But I'll see what extra I can see before I either give up and go home or the zoo closes, whichever happens first. The tractor outside I think it was an invertebrate house, but it clearly is not an invertebrate house. I found another enclosure with lemurs in it, and other Madagascar animals like the turnrick and the giant jumping rat. Once you leave the African area, or before you go in, depending on which way you go, there's a little place called the Labyrinth. I think the walls made a lot of them go inside, like I can't see the ground squirrel over there. We have got a little book coming out for his dinner. There's also 2 ways in and out of the labyrinth. Sensible stairs, or slightly more adventurous stairs. The Cuban hutia have a baby. Actually, there's a couple of babies. They're so cute. The cassowary has decided he wants to stay inside, and I don't blame him because it's wet. And now I found a little lorikeet walk through, and there's some other birds in here as well. We've got a superb parrot, crested pigeon, a bush thickney, I haven't heard of that one. So they're currently doing a load of work in the Africa section to building a new gorilla house. That's near the bridge that leads to it. So that gorilla house we saw earlier isn't going to be there home for much longer. And it looks like from what you can see, it's that grass bit over there. And the trees, you can see the bits of the building. That's going to be the house. It looks like it's going to be pretty damn big. So, a lot of upgrades coming by the looks of it. On the note of upgrades, I was also told that there's going to be a new polar bear enclosure at some point, which is needed. I've only seen one polar bear, but the enclosure is pretty small for bears. But as with all old zoos, you have to upgrade at some point. Look at London Zoo. So I'm now heading back to the chairlift. I had a little look on the way up, and there's a little machine outside to get tickets, 25 crowns. But it only takes coins, and I have no coins. I spoke to the attendant, and apparently you can pay by card if you speak to them. So I'm going to do that. I am terrified of heights, so face my fears a little bit with this, but can't come to a zoo with a chairlift and not use it. Going all over the animals. Down there I'm looking for the gibbons. There's a water bird bit that I've not done yet. I'll look through the shops before I go. I've got till 9, still plenty of time left. And here I am on the chairlift. Beautiful views out there. It's really easy to get on. Little contactless machine at the front. Tap which kind of ticket you want. So I've got a single adult for 25 crowns. And you just print your ticket, they give it to you, tear it, and you go sit in a chair. There's a little chain that holds you in. But yeah, it'd be nice if it wasn't raining, but I'm not going to complain. That's a good view. That path down there's the path we walked down earlier to get from the top the first time we came down. It was under me and down there. But yeah, I am really enjoying this day out. This is actually an amazing zoo. Thoroughly enjoying it, I must admit. Even with the bad weather, it's great. There's plenty of enclosures that are inside you can go look around. But even if there weren't, it's not chucking it down. It's perfectly fine for me. You see some of the aviaries below me that we went through earlier. It's definitely a zoo I'd recommend coming to if you're in Prague. There's so much going on here, and there's a lot of baby animals, which shows they're doing a good job, because animals don't tend to breed if they're not happy with their environment. So that's a good sign for the zoo, certainly. But it has been really nice. I'll admit, I was a little nervous on there at first. Quite high up, tiny little chain that holds you in, holding onto my backpack and camera, make sure I didn't drop them. But once you actually go, it's really smooth, and you kind of just forget you're up high. Final extra thing, the chairlift in English money costs 86p. I have a Revolut card, which means I get just the exchange rate, no additional charges. And there's an app that comes with it, makes it really easy to transfer from your bank to it. And once you do a payment, it tells you how much it cost you. And my notification just came through. It seems not even the wetland birds want to be out in this weather. I've seen a couple of ducks and that's it. Meant to be spoonbills and all sorts down here. A little bit further to go. One thing I've noticed down this end is I think it's a much older part of the zoo. All the signs are in Czech and not English at all. Everywhere else in the zoo the signs have been in both languages. So it doesn't even say what the species name is in English. So it's lucky I knew what a shoebill was. Also, another walk-through enclosure. Okay, some kind of, I want to say ibis, but then I saw its beak, and now I'm not sure if it's like a very mini version of a spoonbill that's pink. I have no idea. I've never seen one of those before. It is beautiful. And then I got a little friend up here. Hey dude, how you doing? I won't disturb you. Yes, whatever that is. I might have to Google that to find out what the English name is. A very wet hammercop up there. And it goes through to another section. Always good traffic light system, so you have to wait till one door closes before you can open the other one. Better to be safe than losing them. Oh, it's not another section, it is the outside. Free! Free! Check for lapwing. I don't actually see a lapwing when I was in there, but it must have been. This enclosure is meant to contain secretary birds somewhere. I can see 3 grey herons out there and no secretary birds, which is a shame because I really like secretary birds. But I don't blame them, they're hiding from the rain. So down that way is some sort of fossil trail, and there's also a little fossil sales gallery, so you can buy some. I don't know if I'm actually going to go down it. I'm going to go back that way where it's come from to see the gibbons and look around the shop at the end. And I've seen all the animals that come at the end of this. I don't really know what to expect though. I might have a little walk down this little way and see what I think of it. There's the fossil build. Archaeopteryx up there. I'm going to guess it's just info boards about the local geology, because there's been quite a few of those around, which is quite nice to see. If it is, I probably won't do it because none of it's in English. Yeah, it looks like the trail will be these, but none of the boards are in English, so I don't think I'm going to appreciate it to the level that I could. There are more up there I can see. But if you want, you can go apps, they'll translate that, or if you can speak Czech, or if you don't mind that you don't understand it, there is a fossil trail. But we're gonna go back that way for Gibbons. Okay, I didn't get very far until I realised there's a place called the Elephant Paper Workshop. You can buy stuff made of paper that is made from elephant dung. I think I have to detour and have a look. So I've got down here, and it's more than just buying things made of elephant paper. You make the paper out of the dung that is from the elephants on site. Unfortunately, it's cash only, and I have no cash on me, so I'm not taking part in this, sadly. But I imagine it would have been a pretty fun experience to have done, because who'd have thought you'd be making paper out of elephant dung? There you go, if I ever return, maybe I'll do it then. I do love how they've turned all these mountainous cliff areas that are natural to the area into enclosures for species that like to live on the edges of the mountains. Like there was the goats just behind me that we saw earlier. There's been a few more. It's making good use of an otherwise very awkward to use landscape. We have another baby in here sheltering from the rain. Too wet for you? I don't blame you. Yeah, these are the guys who have access to that cliff I was just talking about. Behind me there. There's loads of little shops around the zoo, all themed to their area. But this is an African themed one. And there is a little petting zoo over there. You can see some rabbits and chickens just down there. I'm not going to bother going to it because I think with this weather nothing's going to be out. But I do have flamingos making a load of noise on this side. If I'm right, the Gibbons should be down here. Whether they're out or not in this weather, I wouldn't like to say. I found one Gibbon inside having a nap. I'll look around and see if I can see any others. You know, mate, you know. Another lemur enclosure with two species of lemur, and I can see a white-fronted lemur in this house. Up there. There you are, little birdie. So I noticed a thing called terrarium on the map that I'd missed. It's behind a cat on a playground, and it took me a little while to work out how to get around it. It's this, and it appears to be a reptile house, which I would have completely not entered. Ooh. Oh, there's a frog back there. In fact, there's loads of frogs in here. The Titicaca water frog is one of the most remarkable inhabitants of the high altitude lake Titicaca. Weighing as much as 1 kilogram, this frog spends its entire life in the lake waters. It lives nowhere else in the world. It was observed as deep as 120 meters. It used to be common and played an important role in the lake's ecology, economy and culture. Nowadays it is on the verge of extinction. Water frogs' lungs are small and underdeveloped. The frog gets all its oxygen through its baggy skin. Thus they can stay on the lake floor without having to rise to the surface. If they want to increase their oxygen intake, they simply jump up, which brings oxygenated water into the skin folds. They also support their breathing efficiently with a distinctive swimming style. By alternating kicking their legs, they create a stream of oxygenated water around the folds of the legs. Huh. There we go. An unusual way to breathe. That's really cool. This is a northern white-lipped python, and it's gorgeous. Look, its skin's iridescent. There's an ocean restaurant there, and a little plaque here about sharks, which is really nice. It says how many sharks are killed by humans a minute is the top lot, and the one below the people is how many people are killed by sharks per year. That's a really sad statistic. I'm going to be leaving the zoo in a minute, but I just grabbed some nachos to have before I left. And it's the bus back to the apartment, I think. There's statues of meerkats on top of the rock outside the bus station. Well, I'm back at the apartment now. I spent most of the evening laying on the sofa resting mostly because I'm knackered and in quite a bit of pain after all that walking, I'll be honest. I did get a magnet at the end actually, which I forgot to mention. Didn't have any pin badges there either. I got a magnet with a baby orangutan on after having seen the orangutan. So that's 3 magnets this holiday now. 2 when I was at the museum, 1 with a museum on the front and a generic one of Prague as well. But it's now time for bed. Batteries on charge, ready for another day tomorrow.